Kentucky versus Iowa, Music City Bowl. I came out the gate saying that this could be kind of fun, especially considering Iowa sucks and they can't play offense. Well, Will Levis, since that podcast recording, has come out and announced that, as predicted, by the way, by many out there, he is opting out of the Music City Bowl, as he should. You know, he's taken a beating behind that offensive line. We're actually going to get to that in a second. And I would not want to risk injury if I'm going to be a first-round draft pick. Just me. So I think that makes sense. I'm not upset about it at all. But what I think we should be upset about is the product that we're being left with here on the field. So I went, obviously, to try and dive into the numbers to kind of help me reconcile with this after Will Levis announced that he was not going to be playing in this game. I'm like, oh, okay, well, surely I can maybe drum up enough to kind of still pose the argument that this could be a fun game. And it still could be in its own twisted way. It's just probably on the surface not going to be entertaining for the casual college football fan. ESPN's FPI, Football Power Index, everybody likes to make fun of it, including everybody's mother. But here, I think it's really funny to point out, not just ESPN's FPI, but Vegas all across the board thinks that this is a 50-50 matchup. ESPN almost has it dead even, 50.5% in favor of the Wildcats. That's what the Football Power Index has this game predicted at. I mean, we could sit here and talk for hours about the stats that reflect the offensive struggles both of these teams have had this season, but in interest of saving you time, I'm going to hit some bullet points for you. The quarterback play in this game should be something to watch. Like we mentioned, Will Levis is out. He's opted out. He gone. Best of luck to him. Really excited to see where he lands. Carolina could be a place of note for him. That would be exciting to see him with the Panthers. But anyway, Spencer Petras, the starting quarterback for the Iowa Hawkeyes, has been ruled out of this game with an injury. So therefore, Iowa would then turn to the backup, who they have reluctantly gone to, I think, a couple of times this season. They have stuck with Spencer Petras despite how terrible he's performed this year for them. Alex Padilla is the backup, and he announced 2 days ago, at the time of this recording, it was 2 days ago, on December 5th, that he was going to be entering the transfer portal. So he gone. So Spencer Petras, Alex Padilla, Will Levis, all out of this game. So that means we are left with the quarterback matchup of Kaya Sharon for the Wildcats versus either Joe Levis or Carson May. And you may say, Lance, who on earth is Joe Levis or Carson May? To be honest with you, I had no idea who these guys were either until I started digging through articles and interviews with Kirk Ferentz saying, okay, what the crap are we going to do for this ball game? I think it'll be Joe Levis because he's been on the roster a year longer. I had to actually go and dig through 24/7 sports stuff. I'd try and find some things on these kids and what they've done and what they are doing currently while they're at Iowa. Couldn't find a whole lot on either of these guys. But yeah, I think it's going to be Joe Levis. It's a 6'5" redshirt freshman for the Hawkeyes. Also, want to point out Carson May is a freshman as well. But again, I think it's going to be Levis because he has a little bit more experience. So that's the quarterback matchup. Sharon, Levis, two backups. Let's get after it. It's going to be a lot of fun. In case you're wondering, by the way, if you want to venture back over to ESPN.com with me, the over-under in this game. Normally, you would think that, a college football team is going to score maybe somewhere between 25 to 30 points a game against their opponent. So that would leave an over-under at somewhere between, 50 and 65 points maybe if we're trying to get high scoring here. The over-under in this game is at 31.5. 31.5 points combined. That's what Vegas thinks these two teams are going to score in this game. And to be honest with you, I think I may be taking the under. Vegas also favors Iowa by 1. Again, to go back to what we were talking about a couple days ago, SEC talent wins out. Mark Stoops is the GOAT, and I think we're going to take this one. I think we're going to take it. Not necessarily fairly handily now that Will Levis is out, but I still think we're going to catch a dub here. But yeah, this game is giving me 2018 Cheez-It Bowl vibes. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the 2018 Cheez-It Bowl was Cal versus TCU. TCU won that game 10-7. There were combined 9 turnovers in that game. Now, I don't think both of these teams are going to be combining for 9 turnovers, but the fact that Iowa has one of the best defenses in the nation and Kentucky's got a pretty good defense of their own, again, going up against 2 backup quarterbacks, don't think it's going to be pretty. On top of that, another bullet point here. Both these teams give up a ton of sacks. I thought it was just Kentucky. I thought Iowa's offense obviously has been absolute absolutely terrible this season. And I didn't really think about the fact that, maybe one of the most prestigious universities in the Big Ten whenever you think about the trenches, their offensive line's not going to be that bad. No, Kentucky gives up 3.5 sacks. Iowa gives up 3.1 a game. So we could be seeing a sack fest of these two teams trying to go back and forth punting, which does not bode well for Kentucky because they're going to be playing with their backup punter in this game. So that could be fun. So, yeah, the quarterback play is not going to be great. The offensive lines aren't going to be able to hold up. And on top of that, the most beautiful thing of all, the play calling for both these teams should be interesting, I think is the word that you could use. Offensive coordinator for the Iowa Hawkeyes, Brian Ferentz, is elite. Please, someone clip that. There is no doubt in my mind he is one of the greatest offensive minds that we have seen of this generation. He is absolutely phenomenal at what he does. He is so good, in fact, that the Iowa Hawkeyes are averaging, let me just look right here, 17.4 points per game. If this were baseball, he would be the greatest coach of all time. Unfortunately, it is not. 17.4 points per game for the Brian Ferentz offense. Whew. That is something special right there. And then you look on Kentucky's side, they're without their quarterback, and on top of that, they're without their OC. Probably for the better, to be honest with you, that Rich Scangarello, is out of this game. But the issue here is Kentucky doesn't really, I think, know right now what they want to do with the play calling. In fact, Mark Stoops said in a press conference recently that the play calling is going to be, quote, a group effort in the game. I guess it's Vince Morrow that's going to be leading the charge there because he's the only one here that actually has play calling experience. But goodness gracious, Kentucky, you didn't have an idea of what you wanted to do for your bowl after you fired the guy? Are we serious? So it's going to be Brian Ferentz versus the Kentucky coaching staff minus their OC with backup quarterbacks behind offensive lines that can't block. Let's get it. All right, that's going to be awesome. Oh, just kind of recap here. This is a tweet from Ross Dellinger that I wanted to kind of run down the little bullet points here. We will be seeing in this game 2 offenses outside the top 100 in scoring, 2 top 15 scoring defenses, Iowa's third-string quarterback, Kentucky's backup quarterback, and a few first-string receivers. That over-under is at 31.5. Brother, I would be taking the under if I were a betting man. And if you're a betting man, I would probably encourage you to do that too.